Here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry about that little snafu. Hopefully, you guys have had an excellent week in sales, and I can report that we have, on the main account, we've had some really great sales, and we are, I can say, having our best month of my recollection. It just continues to get better and better, and trying to hit that $15,000 mark for the month. It's going to take some doing, but the last 30 days are at 14.4, and last 90 days 36,000. So pretty solid numbers. Very, very happy. And a lot of you guys watched the video that I put out. Hopefully you guys watched the video I put out during the week that's talking about what I do with sales, how I obtain these numbers. And guys, I've done it before where I've been very set in my prices, set in my ways. Still kind of am set in my ways, but my prices, I have a totally different outlook now. And I'm just not going to sit on an item as long as I used to, or as we've been trained to, I think, by watching a lot of these channels that, no, you can't take anything lower than what the comps show. And you know what, guys, the market's constantly changing. The adage that an item's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. It was valid 20 years ago. It was valid 5 years ago. It's valid today, and it's going to be valid 5, 10, 20 years from now. So people just have to get that in their mindset and kind of change their outlook on things. That's just my opinion. You do what you want, but it's transformed my business completely. Now, of course, there's a lot of other factors involved in that, but just that changing that mindset, trying to, whenever I get an offer, I'm like, okay, before I accept the offer, before I even see the offer, I'm in my mind, what's the min here? What is the minimum offer I'm going to take? And they come a little bit close, but they're not quite there. Now I'm gonna evaluate, really seriously evaluate. But they're within that range. Boom! I'm like, send it. It's time to make the sale. So for me, it all starts with the buy. We've talked about that before, and that's the key, guys. You can't do half of these things if you're buying too high. And I was talking to Jenna about all this. She's still out with her family. She's going to be back on Sunday. She might drop in. I sent her the link. I said, if you are able to jump in on StreamYard, then come on in and we'll, have you on the show. So, I don't know. There's a lot going on at my granddaughter's house, my daughter's house with the grandkids. And, it's usually, if it's a hot mess and very loud there, she might not decide to jump on the live. So we'll just see how it goes. But I wanted to kind of go over a couple things. You guys that are members of the channel and or folks that are just subscribed to the channel for that matter, know that I put out some posts, and it was to try to gather some information to try to, I just want to understand the pulse of the community. Where's everyone's, and these questions were kind of helpful to me to try to understand the mindset of the community, in my opinion. Now, I think these situations are kind of telling, but the first post that I put out was talking to, and it was one I did this afternoon, actually, so I didn't give you guys a lot of time. We had 70 people that voted, and the poll was, if you're outsourcing and come across an item marked for $12, now it's an odd amount, but bear with me. What is the minimum amount you need to sell that item for to make it worth your while to buy that item? So let's assume this is a common item that'll sell within a week. So someone said, hey, it depends on the sell-through rate. Well, there is no real formula that says, okay, this is at 10%, this is at 15%. I mean, you can kind of, but there's so many intangibles when you're looking at 90-day solds. All the ones that you see are currently active. They just put up last week. Were they there for the entire 90 days? There's so many things that you can't know when you're looking at the sold stats to formulate an exact number. So you have to kind of use your judgment from what you've seen sold as compared to what's your current competition if you listed that item today. So let's just say that based on what you've seen, you assess that you're going to sell that item within a week. Could be tomorrow, could be a week and a half, but around a week is what you've placed on it. So with that in mind, what is the minimum amount you need to sell that item for to make it worth your while? Now, I put anywhere from 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, 100 to 150, and $150 or more. And I just got a cancellation request from somebody. Isn't that great? So the results with 70 people voted. You can kind of formulate where you guys think this is. 26% would be the minimum that they would take for that item would be from $25 to $50. 53% were between 50 and 75. 19% was 75 to 100, and 1% chose 100 to 150, and another 1% chose over $150. Okay, and that's fair. That's fair. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that I think the majority is between 50 and 75. And honestly, that's kind of where I would fall in my mind. So all's good there. But that's telling data. And the reason why it's telling data is because, and I'll show you the poll here that I put out yesterday evening. Now, I had this, it's kind of a situation that happened, but kind of not. I had a situation where, if I can go to it here, I have a $12 item. So that's what we had, the $12 item, the same $12 item. This one is a Greenworks Weed Whacker, whole shebang, limited edition from Costco. Couldn't find really a whole lot of comps on it, to be honest with you. But look, it ain't a collectible item. It's a functional item. And so I do know that similar ones were going for about $170-ish. So that's where I put it $179.99, and put that on about 3 days ago. So in this case is a fairly common item. The sold comps in the range of 170. 3 days after listing it, I received an offer for $140, and I accepted the offer. And within minutes, guess what? It's like I did here, got a cancellation request from the buyer stating they weren't aware of the high shipping cost. That's what they put in their comments. So, I mean, I accepted the cancellation. So I got this cancellation when I was talking to Archie on the phone, and I told him about it. And I said, he was telling me, email the buyer or message the buyer and tell him that, you'll take a better deal or whatever. You'll work with them on shipping. And I was involved in the conversation. I'm like, it is what it is. It's a relatively new item I listed. So I just accepted the cancellation and I relisted the item. Now, what is basically fiction here is that nobody ever contacted me later. As you see, an hour later, you receive an offer from the same buyer, this time for $130. That didn't happen, but it's the question that I posed to Archie on the phone. I said, what would you do, hypothetically, if this guy was to say, he goes around looking for something he can fulfill his need to do his yard work, and he came back and made another offer to me, or he found a new listed item that I relisted, and he came back at $130. What would you do? And it prompted me to say, let's ask the community what they would do. And that's why we put out this poll. We had about 200 people that voted, and we had 73%, you guys can see that said to decline or block the buyer. So nope, I'm not taking your $10 off deal at $130. And 27% were saying to accept the offer. And I found that very, very telling. Now, what I thought was, and I was looking through some of these comments, someone said buyers that play games like this are the same buyer who'll open a return and threaten to return the item if you do a partial. Just had a buyer do this exact scenario. Another person said I decline, immediate red flags. This person at this point, I would look at their feedback. I agree with that. I do agree with that. Before I decline, I'd message the buyer and make sure they understood this was an exact item. They had just asked to cancel because of high shipping costs. I want confirmation they understood this. Another one said I always block a buyer after a cancellation so it wouldn't happen to me. Another person said a complete wild card, customer not worth the hassle from beginning and definitely the end of the transaction. Now, the reason why this links up with the first poll that I did today is We're talking $10. We are talking $10. Now, a lot of you, most of you would have fallen in to the $50 to $75 range in that $12 item. But yet, there's something that would be compelling 73% of these people, or if you're out there, you're part of those people, to say, no, I'm going to pass up $130 because of this situation, but normally I'd take 50 to 75 as my minimum. I'm way over my minimum. And why is that? That is, why do we have two different answers there? Why are we passing up $130? And that's a question I have for you guys, and especially those of you who filled the poll out. Now, I'm not here to persuade anyone to do what they do. In fact, I really have to do this. I have to do this. I don't do this normally, but I have to do this just as a disclaimer.
The following program contains disturbing materials that may not be suitable for some resellers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Now, with that said, I'm going to bring on my beautiful wife, Jenna. She's with us. How you doing, honey?
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
So, Jenna is with us today. So guess what? She can't hit me. She can't smack me. So the disclaimer was not for Jenna's appearance on the show. The disclaimer was for the title in the show, guys. Feelings are for buyers, not for sellers. And what do I mean by that? It is apparent to me that the polls that I put out are conflicting. Something's preventing you from taking that $130. We're passing up on a pretty good sale. Now, there's some good points made. If someone's agreeing to buy something, and then they come back and cancel, they give me a reason. It's a fairly valid reason. Hey, maybe they didn't see the shipping, even though it's in the listing. We all know buyers don't read. And they come back and said, I just didn't realize the shipping was that high. Okay, I can accept that. I'll cancel the sale. And they come back, maybe they went, looked out and said, you know what, maybe this guy's willing to take $10 cheaper and help me offset the cost of the shipping. I'll offer $130. Why would we not take the offer? Now, provided that we checked, at that point, we're checking the feedback to see if this is not a nasty person leaving like many feedbacks, negative feedbacks to sellers. That to me is a deal breaker. It's like not worth. That in itself is the red flag, not the fact that they came back with $130. So we did our due diligence. We're private investigators. We're doing a background check on our buyer. Rarely do you get a chance to do a background check on your buyer. So you do it. They check out. They're good. Why would you pass up the $130 if the majority is anywhere between 50 and 100 on that poll that said that they would take that as their minimum sale? So chances are this could have been the unicorn buyer offering me that price. I still haven't sold it. At some point, if it sits, I may have to lower the price, passing up on 130. If I would have reached out to the buyer to work with them on their price of shipping, maybe I would have had the sale right now, but I didn't. That's on me. Now, I was involved in a conversation with Archie, and I felt, it is what it is. I'm not going to go chasing it. But I probably should have if I look at it in hindsight. And I think the reason why so many people are willing to accept 50 to 100 for that $12 item, but in this particular scenario, 73% are willing to walk away without knowing anything about that buyer. Let's assume that buyer is just a perfectly average person. I think it has a lot to do with their feelings, the feelings of disappointment, the feelings of principle. I'm going to stand my ground because they agreed at 140, and I'm not going to budge off of that. I already had to budge off of 179, which is an arbitrary number anyway, because the market is constantly changing. So it made me wonder why do we have the mindset of having these feelings attached to these transactions? And why do we allow that to direct our business decisions? Now, I'll give you an example where it's perfectly fine as a seller to utilize your feelings. I had a walker, a rollator, whatever you want to call it, We're all going to have one at some point in our lives. But this person reached out and asked about it, and I gave her the information that I believe it was a she asked for, and she bought it. And she came back and said, "Look, I'm about to turn 88, and if you can't get this to me by the 15th, then can you please send it to this address?" And she gave me some address in Utah or whatever. And it was like 2 hours past my cutoff time for shipping, and it was going to go normally out on Mondays when it would go out, and it may not make that deadline. But I replied back and I said, "Well, happy birthday. You're kind to your customers. Happy 88th birthday. Because your birthday is coming up. I don't want you to, not have this. I will go ahead and make an exception and ship this out today." And she was thrilled. Okay. So that was one case of allowing your feelings, I guess, to dictate how you run your business, but it had nothing to do with the financial part of it. And then buyers are the ones that should be the ones that we want to feel a certain way. That's sales, guys. You make someone feel good about what they buy, how they feel about it. So we package it up really nice. So when they get it, they feel good about when they open up the box and they get your item, whatever it is. They feel like you put the care. They feel like, wow, they got good value. That's where feelings should come in. They should never come into how you determine your financial part of your business. And that is whether you take an offer, someone may have asked you a question in a snarky way. They have clean feedback. I think that's still always important. If you can check that, sometimes we don't get that option. But at the end of the day, that person can come and buy your item full price. And you can't block them. You can't even vet them, and they might have come at you with a snarky question. We don't know them. We don't know their situation. They don't know us. And I think a lot of times, it's like when I worked at the call center, people would call with an attitude, and agents that would answer the phone would take it personally. And we just got to take our personal emotions and feelings out of the equation, guys. It's going to, it should be cut and dry. If this guy is clean, then you know what? They're having a bad day. I'm going to go ahead and go with it. Now, you may not agree with me, and I'm not here to try to convince anyone otherwise, but I just don't understand how we can go from we'll take 50 to I ain't going to take 130. And that just blows my mind. So want you guys to comment in the comments down below. Jenna, what do you think about all that?
Well, when we were first discussing it on my drive here back to LA, I think I misunderstood the scenario. So, what is the part about asking for a refund or canceling? What happened? Can you please give me the scenario one more time?
The scenario is this guy bought one of those weed whackers. It's like has the whole thing, the battery, the 18-volt battery, the charger, a special limited edition strap that's like extra comfortable or whatever. And they bought it 3 days after I listed it. Had it for $179. They bought it. They agreed. They made me an offer for $140, and I'm like, you know what, I'll take that. And about 30 minutes later, they came back and said, I didn't realize the shipping was so high. Can you please cancel it? They didn't send me a message. They sent a cancellation request with that in there as the reason for canceling. They put their own little blurb there. So I went in and took it. Now, the question was a what if. What if they would have came back and made another offer on the new listing, because I had to relist it, for 130, and it's the same buyer. And they came out, when you check their feedback left for sellers, it's clean. Not a lot of nasty negative feedbacks for sellers. That's one thing that's a really red flag. It's like, I don't need the potential trouble down the road because everyone has a different expectation when it comes to a sale. So my question to you is, what would you have done in that situation?
I would have done exactly what you did. I mean, obviously we're going to accept the cancellation. We don't know that they're going to come back, 5, 10 minutes, 24 hours later and come back with a lower offer.
Right.
However, I mean, obviously you're going to cancel that sale, but when it comes down to the same person coming back to buy it, I don't see what the problem is. If you've already tried to do the vetting as good as you possibly can, as far as feedback and looking at if they have a store or whatever, I don't see the big deal in taking $10 less to help them with the shipping. That's just my opinion. We are into the item for $12. We can replenish those items very easily and quickly. And we're looking to sell items. We're not looking to sit in a store to get $10 more. I'm sorry, but $10, I just spent $10 at Burlington Coat Factory. I'm not gonna squabble over $10 if it puts a good taste in the mouth of my buyer. Um, I can see why people are scraping to pay, for shipping and pay for all these things for necessities that they feel is a necessity for their own jobs or um their own life, such as a weed whacker, maybe somebody got an HOA notice and said, hey, I need these weeds gone by X, Y, and Z. And,
Mhm.
saving $10 for somebody is a world of a difference. That's could be, whether I put gas in my vehicle or not, put food on the table or not. For 10, if I'm not hurting for $10, and all it is a weed whacker, we're not looking at a rare vintage item that is, probably could sell at a higher rate.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about items that are very easily available to us, and we get them for such a low cost that why not give a little bit of a break on somebody else? That's just my
No,
opinion.
no, I agree on that. I think sometimes we are in our own, we have our own vision and we're seeing things from our own scope, and we don't put ourselves in the buyer's shoes to say, yeah, that's reasonable. Even when we get a situation where the buyer is saying that, oh, I found a better price. We know that eBay is doing this to our buyers, but yet I think sometimes we get mad. We're disappointed. We're mad. We're, another, bad buyer here, this person. And, I know that I've in my past have canceled when, oh, I didn't realize this was that. Or, there's no person that I know that's been perfect when buying online. And
No.
there's times that come up. Yeah, maybe it happens too often as a whole. And it's we get tired of it as sellers,
Mm.
but we just have to take, I think, the emotion out of it and just look at it as this. I'm not going to remember this transaction in 6 months from now. What I
Nope.
am going to remember is that thing is still sitting on my rack in there, tying up space and in the way when I need room for other merchandise. So that I think we got to look at from a business standpoint, and unfortunately, it's not being done.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. And I in the very beginning when we first started doing our reselling full time, I had never done it before. Of course, you had, and so I had a lot of feelings attached to items that I thought, and it's not because I loved it or it was mine, so I should get top dollar. That's not what it was. It was I felt offended when people would send a $10 lower offer, and it would make me feel like, oh, did I, am I overpricing things? Like, am I not doing my job properly? So it would hurt my feelings. However, I quickly got over that, and to know that I can certainly turn that money into more product. And you have to take the feelings out of it. I get that some people might feel that if it's a vintage antique or something that's more rare, yeah, I get where you could fall into the category of saying no or not accepting $10 lower. I get that part. Because you can get it somebody will buy it for a higher price. I get that. But when you're
right.
talking about a edger or lawnmower or something of whatever it is that we just sold, those are replenishables for us, and they come and go throughout the garage every day, all day long, and it's not a big deal to us. $10 is not going to make me not be able to go shopping.
And I think a couple of intangibles here that I think we really need to look at, and that is in this particular scenario, they did come out and they didn't have to tell us why they wanted to cancel. They have to select the choice that eBay gives them as the reason why, but they didn't have to go in and type, hey, I didn't realize the shipping was so high. So that in itself tells, okay, they're kind of price sensitive here. After you look at their feedback, I think it's always important when you get an opportunity to look at their feedback to see who you're dealing with, because on your other transactions, you're not going to get that opportunity. That'll tell you the story about this buyer's habits, and if you want to interact with that. If it comes up clean and we're talking $10 and they've communicated with you as to why and it makes sense, then I don't see a problem with it. Now, this guy would have come back with say, oh, I want to offer you $50. To me, that's kind of no. That's like, okay, he's now fishing. It's not reasonable. But the fact that he did put, the reason why he had to cancel, I can respect that. And unfortunately, I think we can't put these buyers in the same group. Like, they're canceling. They want to do $10 cheaper, so they must be a bad buyer. I think we have to be private investigators no matter what. We're always doing that anyway, from the time we are looking at an item to see if it's worth selling to dealing with the buyer who could be kind of sketchy. We have to use our best judgment. And I think just to have a cut and dry and not to, consider that information, I think you're limiting yourself to opportunities that are just innocent opportunities. And I think this is just a scenario, right? So again, I'm not here to try to convince anyone. This is what I do, but I really think, and just looking a lot of comments that I see in other videos I do, the comments here with this scenario, that there's a lot of feelings that probably shouldn't be involved. And there are a lot of good comments where they're saying just that, hey, get the money. As long as it's a decent buyer and they don't have a huge nasty track record, then boom. And some would be like, I'm not even going to have that scenario anyway. I'm going to block them. There's a lot of people who block someone who say, look, I'm just having a time and I realize I can't afford it after the shipping. They could be a good person. We just don't know. We just draw conclusions. And I think that's a mistake. So let's see who we have today with us. We got Mark Suddick says, hi all, hope everyone had a good sales week and the best over the weekend. All the best over the weekend. So yes, thank you. Lots on tap for this weekend. Probably my last weekend trying the yard sale gig because it's just so freaking hot here. I was out in the garage listing today.
What is the temperature out today?
108 is what it shows on my monitor.
Wow.
Yesterday was 113. So it's just like I'm out there. I got this little AC unit that's set up properly, and my knees are cool because it's keeping my knees cold. But
maybe
the rest
we
of me
need to
is just
find
hot.
another spot for it.
Yeah, well, it's the only place that's connected to the one little vent in the garage that I can actually, because it pulls out the hot air and shoots it out. So I couldn't put it anywhere else other than that. Whoops. Christy Lee says, eBay hurts my feelings on a daily. The struggle is real, especially because it takes me 20 minutes to post one item. No, don't feel bad about that, because look, we've been conditioned to think we have to do 200 in an hour. Otherwise we're screwing up and we're not doing it right. I could tell you I'm in that category. It'll take me 20 minutes to do an item, because if you guys are members of the channel, had a chance to look at the behind the scenes of some of the things that I've sold or sell, man, it's from the time you get those things off the rack, take it out of the box, memorize how you got it in there to begin with, because that's another struggle. When you're done, you got to put it all back, and it's not always, even if you take a photo of how it was in the box, you're like, it's like a puzzle again. But you take it out, you evaluate, look for missing pieces, look for anything that's damaged. If it's functional, you test it out if you can. Take your photos. Of course, you clean it. Then you take your photos, and then you put it back in as good as you can, and then tape it all up and get your weights and your dimensions and location. That's my steps involved. And it takes a good solid 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes, depending on that item. And look, I ain't worried about that. I'm more worried about how much money did I put in my store today. And so if I can list 7 or 8 items with a $70 ASP, then, and that's before shipping, then hey, I'm happy with that.
And not only, I mean, I agree, Christy. I mean, as somebody who absolutely despises listing, it takes me way longer to do a listing. And then when eBay goes and throws in their nonsense, that just makes my frustration even more. And it takes me way too long to do a listing. John is a pro at it. Okay. He can maneuver through the issues or the questions or whatever like this. I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think from what I'm selling, I have it down to a science. I do try to batch what I can batch. That's making the draft. So I have an idea before I pick it up, what I'm getting. Or even if I'm at a yard sale and I pick up a carload full of stuff, I know what I have out there and I can look it up, create the drafts, get those started. Now I'm in my app. So I'm doing the drafts on the PC. Now I'm in my app doing the groundwork on each item. And then I will get the photos and all the other basic information in there. And I'll come back one more time on the PC, update the item condition description, because you can't do that on the app, and then launch it. And it's a process to it. But, there's steps you got to take. I think a lot of us want to avoid the steps, look for shortcuts. For me, in the listing process, if you take a lot of shortcuts, you're opening yourself up to a lot of problems with the buyer and stuff like that. So, and mistakes. So I avoid that. So don't feel bad that it takes you 20 minutes. Do your very, very best. Look for ways to improve different processes within your current process. And then just, do your best. Yeah. Jovial says, hey, FAE fam, happy chocolate ice and donut day. So I don't know what chocolate ice is. I'm thinking you mean chocolate ice cream. I'm down for that. But chocolate. Yeah, especially it's so hot out here. We have a fancy donut place over here, Pink Box, and that does sound good. But yeah, Jovial also says chocolate ice cream. There we go. Okay, Flip It Good says happy Friday. Thanks for being here, Flip It Good. We have Tommy Z, Flip It Ain't Easy, finally Friday edition. So is that finally you made it on a Friday, or just finally that Friday's here?
Friday for me is yes, I made it. This has been a very crazy and hectic week for me. I've been traveling from LA to Corona to back to LA to Menifee, back to LA. So I am now in my last destination before I leave on Sunday. Thank goodness. I have one more event. That is, our granddaughter is in a dance recital tomorrow, and I could not be more excited. It's been a lot, and I'm tired, and I want to sleep in my own bed, and I miss my dogs, and of course I miss my amazing husband, who I caught on the Ring camera last night cutting bushes in 113-degree weather.
Yeah, I just waited till it was a little cooler. It was only like about 100. It was like 8:00 at night, and we still had the sun out. And I thought, okay, I've got 20 minutes. Let's get this done, and did it. So, Brenda Smith says, "Happy Friday, everyone! Thanks for being here, Brenda."
Hey, Brenda.
Lissa's with us. Howdy, FAA family and peeps. Hope everyone is healthy, happy, and cha-ching along. Yes.
Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, because it doesn't matter where I am in the world. I still make sure that you guys get your sales when you hit that like.
Yes, I agree with that. Hit that like button. Get this. They don't know how it works. It's just the positive karma we put out there for you guys. We have Shopping with Cheryl says, way too hot to be outside, so I'm here early. It is hot. It's too hot to be in the garage.
Well, it's even hot here, and I'm in like the Burbank, North Hollywood area, and it's pretty darn hot here. So as you can see, I'm a little glossy, and I, have as less clothes on as I can get away with.
Yeah. We have Kevin Hawthorne says, good evening from Lakeland, Florida. I'm sure it's humid out there, but thank you for being here, Kevin.
Sticky.
I'm glad it's not humid here. It's just that dry heat that just, instead of getting sweaty, because we do get sweaty in this heat, but it's more, it just zaps your energy. Hard to describe. Samantha Hunter says, good evening, John. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you for being here.
Hi, Sam.
Got Callie Debs is also in Burbank, I believe. Hello, everyone. Sales are picking up for me. That lighthouse light is shining on my store today. Thank goodness. I think that's the
Yay!
terminology that Josh had talked about, the lighthouse. Someone shining on his store. Silver Hair Stacker Todd says, howdy. Thanks for being here,
Ah!
Todd. David Pentland says, all right, lads. Scotland is here, but sales are okay. That's awesome. Thanks for being here, David. Henri Squaw says, howdy. Thanks for being here, Henri
Howdy.
Squaw. And our first question of the day is absolute fines. How do you decide which yard sale to go to first? I'm always worried I'll miss out. LOL. Thanks for all the info. Great channel. So that is the thing that you spend some time looking at. You look at the yard sale. The way I look at it is look at the yard sale app, plug in your location if you haven't done so already, and now we've got 18 sales advertised. Now that's a far cry from what we had like a month and a half ago. We had like 60 some odd right in the app, but now I'm looking for areas where it's clustered. So naturally, if you see something that's marked as community yard sale, well, you know you're going to have, and you can probably even go into this. It's a map, right? So you go in to see how big is this community. You can really get an idea of how big the community is. So now that would be one of the ones on my radar to get to first. Or if you don't have that, look for the area that has a lot of them together or as close as possible, so you're not traveling far to the next one. So you kind of map out in your mind before you go, this is the series of sales I'm going to try to hit along my way, instead of just winging it. Because if you wing it, sort of like driving for Uber, right? You get stuck on this end of the city, and then you're like, well, all the rest of the yard sales are down there. Do I want to drive all the way down there for all these yard sales? And then you kind of feel like either you're wasting your time, or you begrudgingly do it. And by the time you get there, I mean, it's like an hour or two later. So plan out everything and look for the ones that are all together, condensed together, and make that your first go. Of course, also people have different starting times, so you have to consider that. Some here start at 7, some start at like 8, maybe even 9, which I think is crazy. But that also has to play in it. Semperfi 1918 in the house, slow sales, but overall still up over last month. That's always a good sign, especially when we're in
Great.
June, huh?
I said that's great news.
Yeah.
We like
Jovial
that.
Juggler says it's also we missed Jenna Day.
Oh, I miss you
Uh,
too. I do. I'm ready to come home. I've had my fill. My heart is replenished, and it's time to come home.
well, it's not all relaxation when you get home. We've got this big bed frame that was delivered to me, and it almost got sent back because there was something leaning on it in the truck. It's like a king size, like one of those remote bed frames that you can bring your legs up or you can watch TV and all that stuff. So that thing, I cannot get it. It's like a king size. It must weigh just 250 pounds. It's like crazy heavy. And it took 2 guys to bring it into the house. So I'm
Yeah,
going to need some help when you get
it
home to put that together.
it might take me. It might take us a day or so to get to the bed because I just want to sleep in my
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
So,
I hear you. Tease Flip says, evening all. Thanks for being here.
hey, hey.
And Charles McBride, and the question that we had asked, I don't know if he had answered the poll, but his lowest that he'd take on a $12 item is 50. Samantha says, would it be double 24? I would only do the double 24 as if I'm sitting on that item for a long time. If that's long tail, if you're buying a $12 item that you're only able to double in a week, some people might take that, but I'd have to double that overnight to make it worth my while. I'd have to know that there's a ton of comps that's going to say, as soon as I list this, it's going to be gone to do that. And even then, I'd wonder, am I too low in price at that point if it's going to be gone
Yes,
that fast?
there's no way on this earth that we would take $24 or even 50 for that item. I mean, I think it's if it was sitting maybe for a year, which that doesn't happen for us on items in the main store. So, but that's just another scenario, I would not take double. It has to be 5, 6, 7 times.
So I have an item that was another weed whacker. Looked like the accessories were still in the packaging, right? Everything looked great about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get full ask on this thing, open box, brand new. And then all I do is I go in and do a power test. I assemble the two pieces and I do a power test. Well, the motor was working, but the weed whacker part at the end wasn't spinning. So I'm like, okay, so the pieces aren't engaging properly. I spent 15, 20 minutes doing everything I could to try to make it work. Thing wasn't working. So guess what? So my ambitions of selling that at a full ask wasn't there anymore. I have to sell it as parts repair. And of course, because I had so many items out there, it was beyond my 7-day return window that I'm given to return it if there's any problems. So I'm stuck with it. And I'm selling it for $30-something parts of repair. And would I take $20 for it? Probably, because I want to get out from under it. Maybe people would think that's low, but then again, it's not a fully functional item. The accessories are perfectly new, and everything about it, but it's just not. It's one of those factory blemish items that someone got and didn't work, and they returned it back to Amazon. So here I am trying to move it. I have no interest in waiting. Because I have it set for $30-something. I'm no interest in waiting months for someone to pay my full ask on that. No One Design says too many variables, set a price not applicable to set a price not applicable. So there's lots of variables, but I tried to make it a quick, it's going to sell within a week kind of thing. What would you do? What's the lowest you take on that if you got an offer? Ping G says, hello, John, and the chat. Thanks for being here, Ping.
Hi, Ping.
Not funny says, depends on how long it takes to list the package. I'd buy a baseball card for 12 and sell it for 25 every day, all day. If it's dishes, probably a lot more. Right. You got to consider how much room you have to work with, right? If you have one baseball card and you have a drawer that allows you to put like 1,000 cards in each row, it doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't get in the way as like a large item just sitting around, because that's a big problem we have too. Sometimes we'll be like, okay, when sales are slow, they do get slow once in a while for us. Lately, it hasn't been the case, but we're like, okay, where am I going to start putting this stuff? Because now I'm well over the 200 and 225 item threshold. You guys know we have about 200 items in our store, and that does become a problem in some cases. We got Derek 87 accepted offer once and didn't go through. It was weird. Yeah, eBay has their glitches too. We don't know, but like someone accepts your offer or they make an offer on an item and the item just sits there and doesn't get paid for. It could be a glitch on eBay side, or it could be like billing issue or something like that with their card. You just never know. We have Ping G says, hi, Samantha. And Biff Boffo says, June is up 82% over last June. I've tuned out all the advice and theories as entertainment. Only I know what's best for my store. I can tell when it's eBay, and when it's me, it's almost always eBay. But you do it. See, that's just the takeaway from anything that you should see or you watch on YouTube. I don't care who's telling it to you. They are giving you experiences based on their situation. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows your store and your situation like you do. Right. And you should maybe file it away. Hey, this is what so-and-so is doing. They're encountering this situation. And so if this comes up, maybe I'll consider it. But at the end of the day, you're going to do what works best for you. Ultimately, the goal isn't anything else, shouldn't be anything else, but how much money are they going to be sending over at the end of the day? And that your goal is to improve your processes to improve that number. That should be the key takeaway. We have Ken's Bin says, good talk, appreciate it. Well, hey, thank you for being here, Ken. I haven't seen you before. But don't be a stranger. Not funny says, community sure is quick to drop the ban hammer, IMO, in my opinion. Hopefully they're not trying to ban me. I'm just giving you my honest. Would you want somebody to sit up here every Monday and Friday and kind of put their finger up in the air and get the pulse of what people want to hear? Or do you want an honest opinion of something that just I'm doing? And I'm passionate about what I do it every day. And like Biff, I know what works for our business. Now, it may not work for you, but I'm willing to bet, and I know for a fact there's people that have made similar pivots and have made similar changes in their business and have come back here and reported that it's worked for them. So that's why we do it, in the hopes that it could help somebody that's in a similar situation. We have Sunny, Las Vegas. What's going on, Sunny?
Hi, Sunny.
I know there's a meetup in June sometime, like the end of June.
I think it's June 27th. We're going bowling. I'm going to break
Yeah,
out my bowling equipment.
Yeah, we have a local Las Vegas get together here every quarter. We have Vicky and Katie. They are in charge of it, and they are setting it up again for the bowling alley. We had a good time, right? And so we're going to try it again. Go to the bowling alley, and we'll be there. We'll be there. So if you have no community in your area, and say you live in a larger town or a good-sized town, I believe there is a way you could set that up through eBay to maybe just say, you know what, I'm going to take charge and set it up, and like-minded people get together once every 6 months, maybe once every year or more often, and just get together and build a community. Because when you network, you meet people, you open up so many opportunities, if anything, to get off of eBay Island. Jackie Bleckner says, hello, thanks for being here. Jackie,
Hi, Jackie.
Of course, our favorite podcaster, Scott Bearded Picker. What's up, Moisties? And then one of my favorite children, Miller Time, says, hit that like button.
Oh, don't say that out loud.
I said one of my favorite children. Sunny says, Jenna.
Hi.
And No One Design says, I have a business policy, not eBay's business policies, set in place to handle this situation. Been doing it for years. So, again, I'm not trying to change your mind, Ken, or anyone else's, but isn't it telling, though, if we have someone that's willing to take 50, but in the similar scenario won't take 130? I don't know what's causing that. Shopping with Cheryl says, I hope it's cooler where you are, Jenna.
It's cooler than Las Vegas, but I don't know if I go out of here if it'll tell me hold on, let me look. Real quick, I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's currently 78 degrees. So it's 78 degrees here in it's not terrible. I'm not hating life, but I also did just come from Corona, where it was a little warmer. It was like 90, 98 or something. I don't remember.
You got 30 degrees more in your future here.
Yeah,
Tommy Bernard.
I'll take 78 over Vegas any day.
Tommy Bernard says, it's not two answers or feelings. It's about bad buyers. If a buyer cancels and sends an offer for $10 less, I don't want them as a customer, prevent future problems. In theory, I agree with you. But if you look them up and you see that, well, this guy doesn't even leave, it's maybe one of those buyers that doesn't even leave feedback. They send you a little blurb along with the cancellation request explaining their position, which they don't have to do, and many don't, other than what reason eBay sends. So how can you really truly draw a conclusion that they're a bad buyer and they're going to give you problems? Now, I agree with you. If we look up the buyer and they see that, wow, this person's just full of seller hate, why would you for any price, want to put yourself in that position to have to deal with future problems? I totally get that, and I'm on board with that. But in this particular situation, the scenario was that, there is no indication that this is a bad buyer that you're going to get. It's sort of like the same, anybody play poker out there, it's sort of like the monsters under your bed syndrome. And maybe you haven't heard that, but it's the idea that you're playing a hand of poker against somebody and they raise you, that you automatically think they have the best possible hand. And that's, drawing all kinds of weird conclusions about, that person or how they played the hand that makes you think that you need to fold. And that's the furthest thing that in that scenario, that's likely in that scenario. But yet we believe that, the less likely scenario is this true scenario we're trying to avoid. Samantha Hunter says, good evening, Jenna. Hope your vacation is wonderful.
It is. Thank you, Sam.
Susan Phelps says, I have been lately sending offers when eBay says I have offers to send almost every time I sell, and I only lower $5. Buyers just want to know they're getting a good deal. Sold two today, 155. And
Nice.
you're going to get so many times when you make an offer to a watcher, you're going to get full ask like very shortly thereafter. It's very strange. You know, it happens. And I believe you're getting a little extra boost in the algorithm when you send off any offer. It just happens too often to be a coincidence. Chastity says, I do see it as the same question. In the cancellation scenario, there was a market value of 170. Why would you only take 25 to 50? If I find $12 item that sells for 25 to 50, yes, if easy ship list. So I guess my question.
Correction. I
What?
don't is what that should say.
Where?
Right in the beginning.
Okay. I didn't see the end.
There isn't one.
Here's the same question. Okay. But it's not really the same question. It's just it's asking a question within the both questions. So we know that the majority of the folks will take 50 to 100. That's like 70 something percent between the two answers, but 73% won't take the 130 in this particular situation. So we're passing up a very more than likely innocent sale over $10, but that item sits for another 2 weeks and someone offers you 75, you're going to take it. I don't know. It just, so what is the common denominator? What is the reason why one would change their position? And to me, it has to be how they feel in that moment of the transaction. Because I promise you, if it was a different buyer that came back tomorrow with 120, many people would have taken that. And we're possibly losing $10 because of how we felt about that situation.
Right. So if the original offer had been 130 and there was none of this cancellation BS, I would still take 130.
Yeah. And then there's nothing saying that you don't vet the buyer. I've always said you should vet the buyer. Now, if I'm out and about, let's say I'm driving and all I have is my app on my phone and I don't have the ability, and I'm not going to be pulling over or having access to my PC anytime soon, then I will use my best judgment and just take the offer and not really vet the buyer. And it hasn't had a lot of negative repercussions. So I think it's just a good opportunity when you have the chance to vet the buyer. Always vet the buyer when you can, because it's your one chance only with eBay when you're accepting an offer from a watcher or accepting a best offer from a buyer, that you have one opportunity to vet who you're dealing with. But even then, I'm somewhat lenient towards making the sale. I'm more interested in the churn, guys. Yeah, I have returns. I haven't, and this is going to end up happening, so I shouldn't even say it. But we haven't had that scammer buyer that's like said, okay, I want this new Xbox and I'm going to send you my old one back in a return. It hasn't happened. Now my dog's going to start barking because I knocked on the wood there. But I really think that it's the bad experiences that we recall that really makes us fear it happening again, even though it doesn't happen all that often. Thriftington says, ditto, Tommy. So Thriftington, and everyone's going to believe what they want to believe. Ultimately, it's up to, I'm just offering these ideas to everyone to really to think about it. Why are you willing to take a lower amount in that, like in a general sense, than, in this particular scenario? Ping says, I also send offers that eBay says are eligible with a 10% discount. Very few are accepted. Mm-hmm. Biff says, I'm into some items for less than $1, but I'll still pass on a $90 offer if I think I can get 150. Don't give away my grails when moving 40 pieces per day of bread and butter.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like the premise of my video, and that's what works so well. I'm going to make a video at this probably either this weekend if I have a chance, maybe not, but maybe next week, where I go through all the solds that I've done in the last month, and just to show you how many offers I've taken And I can promise you, if I didn't have offers set up, if I wasn't really aggressive with, accepting an offer and knowing that if I take this offer now versus next week, I can get that money back into product and keep churning that, buying more products and building the business. The argument could be made, well, I don't need the money now. But if you're not really trying to grow your business, you're trying to stay flat. Let's say you have 1,000 items. Look, I'm content with 1,000 items. Then maybe, you can have that mentality. You're not really going to churn and get the sales. But for me, it's about, I do want to grow beyond 200, but eBay is just making it a little difficult for me lately. I'm back up almost to 200 after today, but just fighting back and forth with eBay. I'm making 10 sales, listing 7, and doing all the things that are around running the business. It doesn't seem like a lot. And you guys might think, hey, this guy's a slacker, but I don't think the results are slacking. 14,006 on a 200 item store, almost 500 items sold in a 90-day period with a 200 item store. I will take that all day long. Biff says, I like having killer stuff in my store, like having big ticket items. I get it. But I think a little bit of it's because you enjoy the stuff that you're selling. But to me, I don't care about it. Look, I don't care if I'm selling a remote or if I'm selling this or whatever it is. It's not about the item I'm selling. That's why I can sell everything. It doesn't matter to me.
There's
It's
no
about making money.
attachment.
No.
There's no attachment to the items that we're selling. We
Right.
don't necessarily like or love the items that we are selling. So therefore there's nothing stopping us from selling it. I get where I believe that Biff sells maybe some type of a vintage or a collectible of some kind. And so I get the mindset of that. But we don't. Not that I don't. Okay, let me rephrase that. We don't sell those types of items, so we don't care. As far as if it's a $10 difference, it's water off our back. And if it's helping somebody, my thing is if we are helping somebody who legitimately looks like they're having a problem because of a $10 difference, I would like to help them in the way that I can by discounting it by $10.
Well, but then you're inserting your feelings. I think that for me, it's like if they come to me and say, hey, I'm having a hardship. Sometimes people will send you a message and say, I'm having a hardship. The most I can spend is 140. Like for instance, you see me looking at my phone while Jenna's talking, but it's because I'm actually working with a buyer right now while we talk, and they're seeing a pair of shoes on Mercari that we had listed for 55, the Nikes. And they said, well, the shipping's too high. So before the show, I had to say, well, we can't control the shipping, but I said, I can make you an offer to kind of help offset that. So now he's coming back saying,
I don't feel that it's a feelings thing, in my opinion. I mean, sure, it might sway towards the feeling side, but it's part of doing business. It's part of being customer service and being the only one within the you can't go into a retail store and say, hey, I'd really like to buy this, but it's about $5 too much and I just can't do it. We're in the business and we have a business where we can work with customers. I find that to be a asset to our customer service, not me using my feelings to negotiate a deal.
So yeah, but the thing is, if what I was trying to say is, someone comes to you and sends you a message saying, hey, I'm having a hardship. The best I could do is 140 all out for that $179 item. Now I have to assess. One thing I'm assessing, it isn't their needs. Certainly they are coming to me with their needs, but I'm assessing, okay, how long ago did I list this item? What am I into it for? How many, do I believe based on sold comps that this thing's going to sell anytime soon, or I'm going to be sitting on this for a little while? If the answer is one where I'm going to be sitting on it for a little while, and it's been listed quite some time ago. I'm going to do what I can to say, you know what, I'll work with you on it. But if I just listed it, we've all seen it before. We list an item that's somewhat in demand, and within like minutes to hours, you get like offers to watchers, right? Or you might get an offer from a best offer for someone, or a message about it. Well, that's a good sign that it's an in-demand item. And if I get an offer that's like, can you work with me? I'm going to be like, well, you know what? If I still have it in a week, you come back and I'll work with you on it. That kind of thing is how I'm still considering the business over their particular situation. Could be fabricated to get your sympathy, or it could be a legitimate situation. And we used to see this all the time at Amtrak, where people would call up and say, you know what? The fare was $100 yesterday. It's now $150, and I only have $100. Can you work with me? And, the answer is almost always like, sorry, it's your situation, not mine. I can't really do that for you. It's because there's no emotion attached to the situation. Here's the fare. Here's your price. And, you got to let the business dictate every situation when it comes to your money. This is all about your money.
So Ken just said something that I feel exactly what I was trying to say. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm probably going to hop off here because
Okay.
I offered to babysit the kids so Tommy and Kelly could have a date night before I leave.
Okay.
So anyway, so going back to Ken, he says feelings has no place in business, but the illusion of feelings is the best practice in business. Marinate your
Yes.
thoughts on that for a bit. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Right. So in that scenario, will you hop off? Are you going to hop off, or are you going to stay?
I'm going to hop off. So I just want to say good night to everyone. I love you and I miss you, and I will see you guys on Monday. Honey, I love you. I will probably talk to you tomorrow because I know you have a busy rest of the evening. So love you guys. It was nice to hang with you guys for a little bit. But I'm going to go and play with my granddaughters.
Have fun.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I will. How do I leave?
So,
kick me out.
I guess I'll kick you out. Okay, there it goes. So Ken is right. You want to give the illusion. So like that person comes to you and says, look, I'm having a hardship. You're not going to just ignore them, or you're not going to say, sorry, I don't care, whatever. You're not going to give them a snarky answer. You're going to be, you got to give customer service. So, there's nothing wrong with saying, look, I just can't go that low on this item. I'd like to work with you. In fact, if you're able to, if you're still in the market to buy this and I still have it, I might be more willing, but I just listed this and my business doesn't allow me to do. There's nothing wrong with that. You gotta maintain a level of humanity when you're dealing with these people. They're not your enemy. These buyers are not your enemy. Even the ones that are nasty to sellers. Have you bought something on eBay lately? There's some pretty bad sellers out there, inattentive, non-caring sellers who don't even want to communicate with you. That's aggravating. And so, look, I'm willing to give a little slack to some of these buyers. They're not all bad people. They just want what you're offering exactly as you're offering it, and they want you to be treated fairly, and they want to get a good deal. They're looking for a good deal. So for me, it's the mindset, just changing my mindset. And look, I used to be like, you know what, forget this guy. I'm going to cancel. I'm going to block. I'm going to block this buyer, and just do it like a reactionary kind of thing. I think that's not the right mindset to have. Jovial says the disclaimer should be for that tank top. Hi, Jenna, you look great. Well, she's not with us now. She's signed out. Ferret Fan says, hi, John and Jenna. Thanks for being here, Ferret Fan. Nice to see you. Christine says, good thing I have no feelings. Anti-everyone Anderson has no feelings. No, I don't believe that. Mike Seller says, greetings, John, Jenna, and fellow flippers. Thanks for being a member, Mike, and thanks for being here. I appreciate you, buddy. Not Funny says, I stopped worrying about bad buyers. I get these crazy red flag messages from buyers every week that turn out fine or even repeat buy. There's a saying that 90% of the things that we worry about, like, oh, this could be a bad buyer, never pan out that way. they turn out just fine. And I think sometimes it's human nature. We remember that bad experience or two we've had, and we try to guard ourselves from having to encounter that again. I get it through experience, but it's you're losing out, I believe, on money. And look, I wouldn't be, if I was struggling right now to make money on eBay, I probably would have no place to tell you that. Bearded Picker says, what are these things called? Feelings. I agree with that question. I don't know the answer to it. I've been trying to wonder the entire live stream, and even before that, through my posts, and I knew what the answers are going to be when I actually put the post together. I'm not surprised by the answers that I received on those posts, but it just baffles me. It just baffles me. Mike Gerda says, setting emotions and principles aside, how many sellers have actually had this scenario, and if so, actually had either a bad review or a return if they actually took a lower offer? And I mean, how many people have had this scenario? I maybe have had it once where someone has circled back and said, look, I maybe made me another offer, but you better believe I want to know who I'm dealing with. I want to know, because a lot of times you get, and there's something to this. I agree to this, that if you have a seller or a buyer that is kind of sketchy, chances are you can go look at their feedback left for sellers, and it can be kind of nasty, right? So that's why we vet these buyers before we say, okay, I'll take it. But I just think that more often than not, these buyers are good people than bad. I prefer an extra comfy strap, says Christine, on that weed whacker that we have. It's like one of those, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it was a really cool model. I'm not going to want to keep it for myself. I really want to get rid of it. If someone offered me 100 on that item, I'd probably take it, because to me, it's about, do I want to wait another 2 weeks with that for 150, or do I want to get that 100 and flip it again? Big Dre says, hello, everyone. I'm busy trying to get some sales today. I have 3 potential buyers I'm negotiating with. Get that sale, or get those sales. We have Major Win in the house. Says, hey, John, Jenna, and chat. Thanks for being here, Major Win. I know I'm way behind, guys, so I apologize. Mike Camparelli says, hi, guys. Just got in. What did I miss? Glad to see Jenna on the show. You may have missed a lot that I said at the beginning, so a lot of these replies are based on that. So you may want to go back, Mike, and look at the beginning and then comment down below if you want. John Worldwide Weber says the customer experience is just as important as the item itself. Especially if you're selling in a niche, I think it's more important to get the customer experience. I'm not going to say it's that much more important, but maybe a little bit more important, because a niche seller, you may have a product that buyer may want again. And so they'll come back and look for you if you've given them great service. I promise you that 88-year-old lady that dealt with me today, the next time she needs something, she's a good chance she's going to be looking for my store before she looks anywhere else, because I made her feel good. I made her feel special, and I was willing to take care of a concern that she had and make the transaction easy. It's called creating a low effort buying experience. You create the transaction that's low effort. I promise you, especially if you're a niche seller, I may not have a walker for her again if she wants to refer her friend or whatever ridiculous. But if you're selling things that people like and you treat them well, chances are they're going to come back and write it up as a good experience. Paul Rose says, hi, John and Jenna and all. Thanks for being here. We've got Rob Something says, I would rather have some of the money all the time than having all the money some of the time. That is a great statement. I love that. I know we've heard that before, and I wish I would have thought about that, but that is so spot on. I would rather have some of the money all the time than having all the money some of the time, because you are going to have huge days if you sit on those items waiting for the unicorn buyer. You are. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would rather just keep getting big sales days, because I just keep taking good offers and fair offers on stuff. Bearded PokeTuber says, I just spent $200 at Burlington Coat Factory, but it was on retail arbitrage. And I'm willing to bet you did your homework. You're probably going to make much more than that $200. I just received an offer from a potential buyer. I have an item that is $40. they want to offer me 25 for it. And this is in real time as we're talking. I can tell you that it's kind of borderline, but then I look at what I paid. I paid $3.45. So I'm apt to say, okay, and that's before shipping. I'm looking at their left for others, and guess what? I see green all the way through. I see one where they left a negative, poor packaging. They have 242 positives. I may have listed this item 2 weeks ago. It's only one negative out of 242. Well, I don't know exactly. It's probably about 150 they've left, 149 positive to one negative. So what would you guys do? Into it for $3.45. They want 25. With my markdown sale, it knocked it down. I probably had it for like $45 plus shipping, because that's kind of supporting what the range of the market is. Would you take the $25 and take that sale? So I want to know what you guys, I'm going to wait to see what your responses are before I actually accept it, because I'm curious to see. I'm going to let you guys help me decide this one. Thomas says, just don't try to push the cart to the car mat. I don't know what that was, but we have Jovial says, Primo and Spam must have gone to eBay Island this week. I know they took off, so maybe they just needed to reset and to get away. I understand, especially when the weather's starting to get nice. It's an opportunity, especially like Josh Galt was talking about having slow sales. He's like, you know what, I'm taking the kids. We're going to go and have some time at the beach or whatever. And why not? I mean, what are you going to just sit around and wait for sales and miss out on opportunities? So certainly you got to pick the times that you take off, and I don't blame anyone for doing that. John Worldwide Weber says, I've heard the younger generations value experience over things. Yes. Beard says, RA is dead. Go back to Goodwill. Tommy Bernard says, mine have magnets, Matt. You get close to the door, the wheels lock up. You're pushing that mofo anywhere, or you aren't pushing that mofo anywhere. Thomas says, my Ross and Goodwill in the hood have big PVC pipes, though. So I'm not sure what that means, but, And then Ken's Ben says, one of the best videos I've watched. Well, awesome, Ken. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate you. Samantha Hunter says, I know it's early, but hit the thumbs up, like button, please. Yes, we've got 130 watching, and, hit that like button, guys. I'm going to put it out there. You're going to get a sale in the next 24 hours. Corey Cloud agrees. Still waiting on his ka-ching, but we are too. Now I'm going to get a ka-ching here, or a cha-ching here in a second, depending on, I guess the consensus here. Chastity says, so my hypothetical would be, if the $10 wasn't an issue, why not offer the customer a discount on top of the accepted offer to keep the original sale? And that, and I guess that's what Archie was telling me to do. Why don't you message them? And because you can't make another offer. There's no way. You're going to have to end the item. Well, actually, the item's already ended. You're going to have to relist the item, and then you can reach out to them and say, hey, I relisted this item. I'm willing to do for $130 if that helps you a little bit on the shipping. I could have done that. But in the middle of a conversation, it's like, I kind of just blew it off. With that said, I think I made like $400 yesterday. I mean, it could have been a $500 day. And it very well may have been that they wouldn't have responded. So it's hard to say what would have happened there. But yes, in hindsight, maybe reaching back out would have been the right play. Bearded Picker says, I use the magic 8-ball to decide on offers. Well, I'm kind of doing that right now. Gail Carlson says, hello, John and Jenna. Late, but I made it. But you made it. That's what matters. Thanks for being here. Bearded Picker says, quitter. I don't know who's quitting. Noah Designs says, is it just me, or does this live stream feel like Cordy? Okay, Jenna, you get 89% of the asset, and John, you only get a football. No case, just the ball. Dogs goes with Jenna. John gets the dog bed. No, that ain't happening. Look, it's like this. We could be stuck on eBay Island. I know you're just joking, but we can get stuck on eBay Island and have nothing to look forward to. Heck, I went for 5 days and played golf with the guys, and it's like, if she needs, initially she was going to go for like 3 days, drive all the way back on last Sunday, stay Monday, and then Tuesday, drive all the way back to California. And it's like, just stay. There's no need to do that. I can take care of the business. So I don't mind doing that. Tommy Bernard says, tell the UPS guy it's too hot for yard sales and see what his reaction is. Pink says, my daughter just left Las Vegas. They wanted their two boys to experience the different roller coasters in Las Vegas. She said it was hot there. I wouldn't be caught dead on a roller coaster in 115-degree heat. Just the seats of the metal would have been probably too hot to stand. Let's see. Noah Design says, I mean, the live stream is kind of set up like a court interview. Thomas says, her eyes say, I'm not coming home, Ken. Yeah, she'll be here. I promise you. She'll be on here on Monday with us. Duncan VR said, do you have ad blocker with eBay? Just get rid of those pop-up ads. I don't know what that means. Do you ad blocker with Udi? I don't know what Udi is. So I don't use ad blockers at all on mine. So DM Ephemera says, you can keep your heat. 70s here in Western PA. Too much rain turning my 6,000 SF garden yellow. Beard can have his moist back. Sales still good. Almost 8,000 in first month. There you go. That is awesome. Love to hear good news. Let's see. Noah Design says, we use eBay file exchange to list. It took a while to teach my crackheads how, but now they can do it with minimal chicken nugget supervision. You have a process. That's good to have. Ping says, free donut with any drink purchase at Dunkin' Donuts today. But the problem is I don't enjoy Dunkin' Donuts donuts. They're not all that. We have Pink Box, just a regular mom and pop donut shop. Just give me a cinnamon roll. I'm happy. Yes, Pink Box. That is my kind of donut shop. It is. They have all these exotic donuts, but they have, in my opinion, they have this thing called the caramelizer, or I think it's called the caramelizer or something like that. Maybe I'm off a bit. I don't know the exact name, but it's something like that. And it is a donut that has like a caramel cheesecake filling. And unlike a lot of their donuts, it's not too sweet. It's just the perfect mix of frosting and cheesecake. It's good, man. So that's what I get when I go down there. We buy a bunch of those and whatever the kids want. Samantha, Jenna, enjoy. I hope her recital goes well. And we have Patricia saying Jenna. Christy Lee says eBay file exchange. I'll look into that. I think that's where you upload your CSV file and it uploads like drafts to your account. Duncan VR says, John, you better cook Jenna some burgers when she gets back and give her a nice massage. Yeah, she's always taken care of very well. Trust me. That's why she's coming back. Tommy Bernard says, I batch everything personally, prep all the items, photo all the items, list all the items. No right or wrong. Have to do what works best for you, for your mindset, though. Yes, I agree with that. Samantha says, John, my like button returned. Recall last time it was not present. Yeah, that's odd. That might be YouTube's fault on that one. Beard says you were spying on him, or Bearded PokeTuber says you're spying on him trimming his bushes. No, it's just that we have a lot of shrubbery and we've let it get out of control. And it's like I'm trying to pull the trash cans down the little walkway, and it's like protruding into the walkway area. So it's like I'm not walking past that again. So we're going to fix that. Let's see. Tommy says, Ken, I couldn't even do file exchange for 1,000. Your crackheads are highly educated. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm not interested in any of that uploading stuff. Patricia says, Jenna, do you notice John doesn't interrupt you with you beaming in from your trip? Patricia, I try not to interrupt her. Yes, we have a conversation when she's sitting next to me, and it's just, I don't know if you have a significant other, but you get a comfort level when they're with you, and you can communicate that way. So my apologies to anyone that puts someone off if I do interrupt, but there's times she'll interrupt me, and that's just kind of the way we communicate. Sal R, happy to report sales are back down 2 weeks in a row, or back 2 down weeks in a row, already way over last week's sales. I also work real job every other weekend, so happy to be off tomorrow to source. There you go, Sal. Making it work. That's what I like to hear. Fair Fan says, what's the best yard sale app? I like to use the what is it? This stupid thing called? Is it the yard sale treasure map? I'm trying to see what this thing is. I'm not even. Yeah, it just says yard sale. I think it's yard sale treasure map, but it's a free download, and anywhere you put yourself on the map, it'll generate. Here are all the yard sales. So like when we were in Cincinnati, it's like it knew my location and it gave us all the yard sales from that location. Samantha says, hey, South Carolina got from China 8-inch long legs flying spider. Get me out of here, eBay. I'm freaking diva. Eek. No, don't want any flying anything. That's for sure. Let's see. Christy Lee says, I wish I was around the other eBay sellers so we could all meet up to learn from one another. If you have a somewhat populated area that you're in, why don't you take the lead on that and start up a group in your area. Bearded PokeTuber says, I don't yard sell often, but when I do, I start with the farthest sale from my house and work my way back towards home. That way, when I'm beat at the end of the morning, I'm close to home. I can see you doing that. For me, it's about how can I get to as many yard sales as early in the day as possible before what? My competition, right? So if I can cover 20 yard sales versus 10 that are further away, for me, it's the 20 yard sales every time. And I'm probably going to be doing a lot more drive-bys, even though Archie and I are going to go tomorrow. I'm going to go to his neck of the woods. Apparently, he said there's some community sales out there. So I'm going to see if that's true or not. But nonetheless, I don't plan on stopping at all of them. I'll do a scan because some of these yard sales out here in Vegas are sad, especially some of the community yard sales. Like half the people doing yard sales kind of feel like obligated to participate, or they last minute go, oh, I forgot we have a yard sale tomorrow, and they just put out like a table and hardly anything. Then usually it's like a lot of baby items, so it's like, okay, roll past that one, let's go to the next one. No Design says, Tommy, to tell you the truth, it's only reasonable to use the method if you've had 10,000 listings and over, and that's the method that Ken was talking about earlier. So I get it. And for me, it wouldn't make sense. I only have 200 items in my store, but it's not an easy process that I've seen. Samantha says, John, you got that weed whacker from Pallet Buy or yard sale. Sounds like a good buy for profit. I get it through liquidation. And so it was, the way it was represented was something different than what it was. And I saw that and I got a really good deal on that. Chances are it would have been like $30-ish if they would have put the proper information in their listing. Let's see. Thomas says, I was just thinking of how many pole dancers could fit in the warehouse you use for all the racks of inventory turned into a moneymaker. Not sure who we're dealing with on that one, so I'll skip through the sidebar convo. No One Design says, no, John, the community wants to see you pole dance. People have spoken. No one wants to see me dance with or without a pole. I promise you that. We have Haas Cartwright says, does anyone sell surgical instruments on eBay? I think you have to be very careful. There's some things that they won't allow you to sell. Like I had this device that, man, if they would just allow me to sell it, because I come across them all the time. It's a device that you wrap on your knee. It's supposed to be for your knee or your elbow. And it has a couple of hoses that hook up to a main device. And I guess you put ice in there or whatever. It cools. It sends like a cooling sensation to that area of the body. And it's considered a medical device, even though you don't need a prescription to get it. And that was their argument when they gave me the takedown notice. So I tried to sell it. Other people were selling it, but I learned that I can't sell that item, and I'd be making so much money off those. I come across those all the time. Let's see here. What else do we got? Who else do we have here? Duncan says, you don't love the products you sell, but John loves those flashing toilet seats. I had a product that I thought was really cool, and I even put this in my listing, but I was going to do a community post, but I thought it would come off as just, I don't want people to take it the wrong way. But this is one of those machines that I'm like, man, this would be kind of cool to have, but they run about $200 some odd, and it's one of those money counting machines that you see in the casino. So it's one of these things, and this is the video I uploaded to my listing. And you put the money in the machine, and it counts all the money. It takes all the serial numbers, and I really thought that was a cool machine. And for me, I bought that for, was it like $23? Again, wasn't listed properly. I had to do my homework and investigation to go, that's not a $23 machine. That's like a $300 machine. I think I have a price for $250 because it does have a blem on there. A lot of times with liquidation, the machine could be just fine, but it could be like a crack and like a spot on the machine that affects nothing, but people will send it back because they bought new, right? So you disclose the crack. Of course, you can't sell it for brand new. You got to just mark it down appropriately. We have Roman says, Ken sent his crackheads to wake me up. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Roman, nice to see you, buddy, and happy birthday. Noah Design says, feeling has no place in business, but the illusion of feelings is the best practice of business. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Susan Phelps says, I'm not here to store. I'm here to sell. I do price a little higher so I can come down. I work full time, just trying to build my business. My husband says, sell, sell, sell. That is what I am doing. I agree with that. Going back to the initial example, I still haven't sold that item. I may not get an offer for a while, right? Makes me wish I would have tried to contact that buyer, as Archie had suggested, and just been more proactive to try to get that sale. Who knows? I may end up taking it for $100 if someone offers it to me. And I can't dwell on it, though. I can't say what if. We just push forward. We make the best decision in the moment, and just try to build our business. Biff says, good discussion today. I do have many one-of-a-kind items that I won't ever see again. A lot also depends on the month I'm having, and some of it is it like having that fancy car in the showroom window? Yes, it is. But I'm certain that last statement is because you really enjoy the items that you have. They're really cool pieces, and you'd almost rather keep it than sell it at a much lower price point. I'm sure there's something to that, but you got to make that assessment. Am I going to get one of these weed whackers again? In my assessment, I haven't seen one yet. I haven't seen one in the last year and a half since I made the switch over to what I'm buying. I may never see it again, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Really, I want it sold, and if someone's willing to come along and make me a fair offer, then hey, I'm good with it. Major Win says sometimes people just need someone to buy them a beer, do them a solid. That in the grand scheme doesn't really do much, but gives somebody a little boost. Yes, I agree with that. Susan Phelps says I contact my buyers when I ship and out for delivery. Great reviews. And that's the thing. You get great reviews, and I'm a big believer. While it's not huge in the algorithm either way, because I've seen a lot of people make sales with a lot of negative reviews in their feedback. It's when you get negatives, how you respond to them, I think, is big. But keeping a clean record is always good optics for buyers who do look at that. And I believe I'm a buyer that looks at that. Believe me, if I see somebody that's just horrible, they have a lot of negatives, it's like, am I getting a good enough deal to take the chance? Ashley Sims says, I know some sellers don't like confrontation and equate rejecting an offer to that. Why I don't know. I always say white lie. Do you do consignment and owner of an item is firm on the price or will go to this amount of dollars? So yeah, the buyer doesn't really need to know all that. I agree, but I pretty much say in more generic terms, look, especially when I'm countering an offer, because I will counter offers. If I get an offer on an item that if I was sitting on it for a month, I'd take it. But, it's kind of questionable. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure all of us have been there. We're like, I don't know. I will counter with what I feel is fair. And here I go saying the word feel. What I know is fair based on how long the item's been sitting in my store and knowing the kind of the data in my head as far as how long does this item usually take to sell. If I just listed it, I'm going to probably counter. If I've had it sitting for a while, I'm probably going to take the offer. But if I counter, I'm going to come back and say, based on my cost and fees associated with the sale, this is the very best I can do. And please keep in mind, I don't play the haggle game that many sellers like to play on eBay. This is our best price. And you would be shocked to know how many people would actually just take the offer. Susan's never had a return. I do no returns. Not sure if that is it. I have confidence in my items, so that is a start. So what we've said many times on this program is that you have a lot of confidence in your items. I get it. But by saying no returns, you're not projecting confidence to your buyer about your items. The buyer is going to say, well, why is it that they don't offer returns? It's like, am I going to get stuck with something that's not right? And you would do better to put buyer pays returns and accept returns within 30 days than you would at no returns. I promise you, because even with no returns, a buyer gets something, they can force a return. It doesn't even matter. All they got to do is say, it's not green enough. It's not big enough. It doesn't fit enough. And the description's wrong. All they got to do is say, not as described. And guess what? You're on the hook for that return label and you're taking that return. Jackie Bleckner says, I signed up for Bonanza last month. Why are they changing my prices? Is there a help group anywhere? They're changing your prices? That's really, really strange. You might want to check that. If you're having a markdown sale on eBay, you're not going to have that same price on Bonanza. So the initial price you set on eBay, they're porting over that information. So if your markdown sale is at $39 for eBay and your Bonanza price is like $47, well, chances are you don't have a markdown sale on Bonanza. That's why. So you might want to check into that. Ashley Sims says, I had a $70 sale on Bonanza last night. 3 discontinued L'Oreal eyeliners. There you go. There's something about discontinued items, guys. If you can get discontinued items, and I know Beard's like, shut up, Don, shut up. Get them. There's money there. Lisa Dury says, just my opinion, and we all know about opinions. eBay has evolved. I sell used stuff because I feel good investing in the community and environment. I couldn't raise a family this way. Yeah, and I guess there's a caveat too. If you are truly trying to build a business versus just trying to have a little extra income, you really don't care how much you grow. If you're not projecting yourself to like have grown in the next year, if you're not working towards something, you're just selling stuff. I can see where feelings and or buying things that you enjoy selling. But again, just like that scenario with the old lady, I'm done shipping today, 2 hours ago. But based on her scenario, it's going to make my life easier if it gets to her earlier anyway. Happy birthday. I want to do a good thing, make my buyer feel good. So I encountered in that discussion. And guess what? My buyer was super happy in her response. We got it out today. That's good stuff. And that made me feel good, made them feel good, but the sale was already made. It had nothing to do with the sale. You're making feel good decisions, but I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about in the moment when it comes to whatever you're selling, making a decision on how much you're selling it for. You really need to remove your feelings. Henri Squad, do you get a lot of repeat buyers, John? I generally, I think I do because of the program. We get people who watch the show and will buy stuff. But because I don't get a lot of the same merchandise, I don't get a lot of repeat buyers because of that. So they buy something. Hey, I want to see if they have another one. They come back. I don't have it. Well, they're not going to keep checking back with me. Not enough consistency. I think that's a big thing. When you are a seller and a niche seller and you have that consistency, people will come back to you. Shopping with Cheryl, how do you keep track so easily of how much you paid for each item? So what I'm doing is when I'm listing my item, I need you guys to hold 1 second. Please bear with me because Jenna's not here and I need to get this package out. Oh, there you are. Hey, how you doing? Got everything? This is for me, right? Okay, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. I will see you next week. Okay, we are back. I'm sure you guys heard that on my Ring camera. I didn't realize it was on. Thank you for that. That was my FedEx driver. I actually put the packages outside for him, but he had a delivery. I have bubble wrap and I have what looks to be a return. So he wanted to let me know that was out there. So I'm still waiting. I was hoping that was the USPS guy. Beard says, am I the only one who doesn't care who buys an item, buy it, ship it, and I have stuff to do? I don't think you are. To me, it's just a gadget. It's a widget, right? We just want to get it sold. And that's all that matters to me. But back to shopping with Cheryl's question. I'm sorry about that. I got interrupted. How do I keep track so much easily on how much I paid for the item? In your SKU, when you're creating a listing, I put the location of the item and I also put right next to it how much I'm into the item for. So now I go into the offer. It'll show you the SKU location and it'll tell me how much I'm into the item for. And I'm like, okay, $3.45. I can sell. Now, I still want to know what you guys will say about the item. I think we're coming to that. Beards said what he said. Let's see. Pink says, I take the 25. DM Ephemera would counter at 30. Christy Lee says, why do you look at their feedback to determine? So you look at their feedback, not their feedback they've received. You want to look at their feedback left for sellers. And you'll be surprised and shocked how many people have such nasty feedback. And you see a pattern of, wow, like, okay, a one-off here or there. I mean, I understand because we all get disappointed on some level. Not every platform and not every transaction is going to be perfect. But you see a pattern and it's like, wow, what would happen if like half their feedback is negative? It's like Christmas time. You see red and green. Am I going to be one of those people because they didn't like the color, or they didn't like this, they didn't like that, or maybe they couldn't figure it out, or they didn't like the way the item was made? eBay, they make it easy because they want the buyer to describe the item and what you felt about how the item was. And instead of more of a, how did you feel about the transaction? They're asking the buyer to tell us about the item itself. It's like, well, I didn't manufacture this item. So why are you having them, make this, 800 word statement with photos about the quality of the item that I had no control over. All I did was take photos of it and sold it. Lisa Dury says, everyone sells for different reasons. I love taking offers and working with people. Sometimes I'm the windshield, sometimes the bug. And that is a great mentality to have because when you have that mentality, it doesn't sting as bad. When you're dealt a bad return, when you get a swap out, when you get a nasty buyer, you just know that it's part of the business and you deal with it and you just push forward and get past it. Let's see. Christy Lee says, they really could have had a bad experience. So I'm confused about that. We're looking for patterns, Christy. So yes, they could have had bad experiences. I've had bad experiences on the platform. We're looking for patterns. So if it's, like I didn't get the item, I didn't get the item, I didn't get the item, I didn't get the item. And, or just things like, I've read negative feedback where it's like, I asked for a partial refund and they wouldn't give it to me. Well, that should be, if the seller was on top of their game, they'd have that removed because they're not supposed to say that. But these are patterns. You're trying to figure out, it's a snapshot of who the buyer is when they're lashing out, right? Because buyers do lash out. And I don't want to be a victim of being lashed out, especially if there's a misunderstanding and it could have been corrected through communication. I'm not trying to go through all that and have, a misunderstanding unraveled. I'm just not. Let's see. Bearded Picker says, I don't care who they buy or what they buy. They get the same awesome shipping and service. There you go. I like that mentality 100%. Let's see. SCG Collectibles says, John, I love your show. Learned so much from you guys. And Beard, also thanks for promoting TreeCat. Now that I get these bugs fixed, all is smooth sailings. Loving the Crosslister. There you go. And I think what you're experiencing with TreeCat was just, when something's in its infancy, there's always going to be a little bit of growing pains. So I'm glad that they worked a lot of these problems out before they unrolled the payment processor, which is now in place. But guys, I'm telling you, no other place will allow you to say, I want to take this item, so I don't have to do it again. And every third day, I want it to end and relist, or in those of you guys know, end item sell similar. They're coming out with a Poshmark sharing tool, so you don't have to subscribe to like Posher VA where you're paying $25 a month. This is all baked into the price. Starts at 50 cents anytime you get a sale, but as you sell more, that price goes down. So you know what? Go check it out. It's worth getting your items moved over. And to me, if you're having difficulties selling, like my second store is not really all that great on eBay, but we're getting a lot of those items sold on other platforms. And use the link down below, by the way, in the description to get yourself going on that. If you guys are interested, I'd appreciate that. That does help the channel when you guys do things like that. Not just hitting the like button. I mean, that does support the channel by getting the word out that we're putting out good content. But whenever you, let's say, sign up for Mercari the first time or whatnot and all that, you use the links down below. If you go to Gyro Pack and get your poly mailers with the link down below, you're going to get a good deal, and it does help the channel. So we appreciate anything you guys do on that, because when we make these videos and do the lives, it does take us away from doing the business. You know, it's less time in the day that we have to run the business. And I make a whole lot more on eBay than I do on YouTube. That's a 100% factual statement. Ashley Sims says, Dunkin' Donuts doesn't hit the same way it did in the 80s. Tastes very processed and fake. Yes, it does. But this pink box tastes really good. Almost too good. It's like too sweet. You can't eat a whole donut in one setting without really feeling like you kind of feel like crap. I mean, it's like I ate too much sugar, but it is good stuff. Let's see. Ashley says sometimes they're like a half-second delay, and it can make it easily accidentally to interrupt. Mike says Dunkin' Trash Nuts. Only donut I get is from my local shop. Twice the size, filling, and fresh. Yes. Memory Room's with us. Says hi everyone. Thanks for being here, Memory Room. Major Win says yard sale treasure map paid is an awesome resource, and I don't have the paid version. I just have the free one. Major Win says Archie is a good dude. Yeah, he is a very, very good dude. He's focused in his own thing sometimes. I mean, he's got to do what he has to do. But he certainly is a very, very good friend. So I'll tell you that. Not too many people will drive, 45 miles round trip to check on something for you. If you're not able to, like if you feel like, oh crap, I think I left my garage door open. I don't know if you guys heard that story. I'm at a Cirque du Soleil show with Jenna, $250 tickets per ticket. And it's like, I guess we got to go home. But, we had someone to call and they're like, no, I'll go right now. And turns out that it was closed. My neighbor closed it. So yeah, that was a big one. Nick Picker says, I have only ever seen one sale lose to me on Yard Sale Treasure Map or close to me on the Yard Sale app. It's not an easy to find the yard sales around here. Yeah, if you're not in an area where you're close to a lot of people, then you're going to have a hard time getting yard sales. Shopping with Cheryl says, I like Henderson sales. They're shaded. LOL. I guess there's a lot of trees down there. Craigslist Hunter, Pete, thanks for being here, buddy. Nice to see you, and thanks for dropping by. Always good to see the goat stop by and hang with us. It is an honor. Drummer says, Facebook are right pricks when you're trying to sell stuff. I had Archie ask me, why won't you sell on Facebook Marketplace? And it's like, I don't want to waste time with people who are going to either not show up or try to negotiate on a price we've already agreed on when they get here. I'm just not interested in that. So I will just avoid it altogether. And he's like, well, I don't know why you don't. I'm like, look, right now my sales are so good. I don't need to do that. I just don't. And that's just, when I was doing it before, I was having some success with it, but it's because it was offsetting my slow sales at the time. Got Juan Garcia. I have a supplier, so it's a 4X base, and I can order as much as I need from time to time. I'll buy collections and break them out. I'm in the inventory turns game, though. Sell, sell, sell. Yes. Very, very good. Not everyone has the same opportunity. You got to have a dedicated supplier, and it's always good to have a backup because you never know when that supplier is going to dry up. Offers. Yep. Anything I have longer than a month is a good negotiation item. Fungible inventory though, so everything is replaceable. Yes. Susan Phelps says, yeah, you can't really love what you sell. You have to sell what the buyers love. I sell jewelry and don't even wear it. I do keep a few. And that is the thing about liquidation. You get a pallet in, and like Jenna was always like trying to get in there and like take stuff that she wanted. And it's like, oh man, you're killing my profits. Samantha Hunter says, what I miss, I had to watch Pat Sajak of Wheel of Fortune. Farewell. John, I'm going to watch this YouTube again. Yes, please do. I guess for Pat Sajak, I guess it's acceptable. Jovial says, John, I gave my DonJoy ice machine to my mail carrier to use in the delivery vehicle. He loved it. Next one I find cheap, given to the UPS driver, etc. We had our USPS carrier. He's like, yeah, we had a postal carrier die in his car last week. He was out in the Riverside, California area. Apparently, died from heat exhaustion, and so they're making the employees like not making them, but they're encouraging them to really stay hydrated during, especially around here it's 115 degrees. And I'm like, hey, do you want a water? He's like, no, I'm good. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Swamp Picker says, hey, how you doing, Swamp Picker? Thanks for being here. Janet Braun says, I understand the concept of turning over the item and reinvest, but what is the point of using comps when pricing? What about bringing the market down? So I use the comps as a starting point. So it's more of, to me, what is the most I'm going to more than likely get for this item? Because I know that the market is where I'm going to start. So I start at a really aggressive high price, but I'm willing to come down. And the amount of time I'm sitting on the item and the amount of money I'm into the item for are two deciding factors on that. I got to tell you, this is why I want to maybe make that video. I'm probably at 60% of what I listed for, 40% of offers. If I had to guess without really examining everything. So 60-40, and I'm getting my asking price in most cases. Most of the time I'm getting what I'm asking for. So for me, I am absolutely happy to take an offer, but at the end of the day, I know more often than not, I'm going to get my initial price. And it's not like the only way I can make a sale is just to take offers. That's not happening either. So I'm accepting this offer, by the way, for $25 plus shipping on that $3.45 item. So just letting you guys know, not going to counter for $5. A lot of times people are going to move on. And because I waited so long on this guy might have bought, it's a set of cross racks for his Hyundai Palisade. So I guess this person wants to travel. Great time of year to sell that type of thing. Might have found some already, waiting for me to get back to him. Let's see. I think I'm catching up though. Chrissy Lee says about the SKU, I have a location in the description, but not what I have in it. And I don't know. I don't know about using the description. Use that SKU. Use the SKU box or that SKU field. You can access it in the app and on the PC, and the buyer doesn't see it. So a lot of times I'll notice when I'm piggybacking off of a listing, someone will have a weird code, and it looks like this is probably where they're storing the item. It's either in the item description or in the title, and that can maybe cause confusion if it's in there. So I like to have it in a place where only I can see it. Let's see. Major Win, Nastygrams will come for you no matter who you are. You just got to build up that thick skin. Yep. You got to have a YouTube channel to know that. As you establish a YouTube channel like you have, as you grow, you're going to get people who are going to say some kind of questionable things, and you just got to be willing to get past it. Donkey Waffles says, got in late. I would not accept the 130 offer because at that point I would not trust the buyer, and it's a return waiting to happen, and you're our shipping. I mean, that's where I kind of look at the feedback to I'm trying to gauge who I'm dealing with. But everyone's going to handle it differently. I just want you to know that if you then turn around tomorrow and get that item, an offer for $100, or let's say you make an offer to watchers, right, for $100, you're not going to be able to vet that person and to see who you're dealing with. You could have the nastiest person watching your item. You send them an offer, they take it, and you're stuck shipping it to them. Roman says, if doorbell rings again, John's chair will go open the door this time. I wish that was the case. The great thing is I have my 2 dogs, right? And we tell them to go in their crates. So we tell them to go night-night, and they go run over to the crates. And we got a bigger crate for both of them now. And they just sit there. They don't bark with the doorbell rings when they're in there. They're like quiet, which is really cool. Swamp Picker says, found Road to Avonlea DVD set. Hope to get 70 to 100 for it. There you go. Now, curious what you're into that for. Look at me being nosy, wanting to know what everyone's into something for. Noah Design says, isn't Rayon the kids who won America Got Talentless? I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't know that. People are talking about different show hosts now. Drew Carey and Bob Barker, who's been gone for quite some time. I think we're kind of done. And then Swamp Picker got that set for $8 at the bin. So that's awesome. Now, out of curiosity, if you get an offer for 50, maybe you have offers turned off. Maybe you get a message saying, hey, would you take 50 for that? I wonder what you do. DM Ephemera just got my like button sale. There you go, guys. Hit the like button. We're getting close to being done here. Don't see any questions or anything, and it's about that time anyway. I do know that Bearded Picker is going to have his show here in about 10 minutes. He might be starting it now. Go on over there and hang out. Let the conversation continue. We're going to be recording the Profit Playbook podcast later tonight. Good, I got a sale. Love that. Later tonight, we're going to have the Profit Playbook podcast, and it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good conversation. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, guys, the Profit Playbook podcast. Hopefully to see you there. No matter how you are with your business, there's going to be times where you have some feelings. I'm not saying that to be heartless or anything like that. But when it comes to making the financial decisions, don't allow your feelings to get in the way. That's all I'm saying. And if you stick to that, it's going to be easier to make those decisions. You're not going to be persuaded to do something that you may not have done. And just know this, it affects your bottom line. And to me, anything that affects my bottom line, I'm not going to let my feelings get in the way. Everything else, if I want to ship an item today when I wouldn't normally, fine. But figuring all that out and how it applies to you and your business is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. I want you guys to have an excellent weekend, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care, everybody.